All right, I want to welcome everyone to our live Saturday morning presentation. We have a lot of information that we want to cover this morning. As you can see, everyone should be able to see my screen. And if for some reason you can't, then someone unmute yourself and let me know. But you'll see at the top the importance of vitamin D, and then you'll see updated 1/9/21, which is today's date. I've done this presentation in the past, but I have updated it because there are some really significant information that's come out with regards to vitamin D and the COVID-19 virus. And we'll get to that as we go through our presentation today. If you have questions as we go through the presentation, always feel free to unmute yourself and ask me. Plus, we'll have plenty of time at the end of today's presentation for any questions that you have. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to start out by helping you understand that I want to give you a good overview. I'm not going to read all this information, but I want to give you a good overview of how important vitamin D is to both your cardiovascular system and your immune system. You know, most people look at vitamin D in relationship to helping with bone health, and that's completely important. But cardiovascular health is directly impacted by vitamin D. And as people are beginning to learn more about the workings of the immune system, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic that we've had, they're seeing significant improvements in the immune system's ability to handle COVID-19 by vitamin D levels in a person's bloodstream. So it's important to understand how you get vitamin D into your system. Now, if you do supplementation, there's only two ways for you to get vitamin D into your system. It's either through vitamin D2, which comes from plants, or vitamin D3, which comes from animals. Now, if you do plant-based vitamin D2, it's very hard for your body to convert this into the active form of vitamin D in the bloodstream. So for all intents and purposes, you're wasting your money and your time if you're using a vitamin D2 supplement. Now, I know that there's vegans out there, and because they're vegans, they don't want to have anything to do with animals. But understand that vitamin D3 is best absorbed by your body. It comes from animals, but it's important to understand the process of how it comes from a manufacturing standpoint as a supplement to vitamin D3. Basically, good companies like Synergy Worldwide will take the lanolin from sheep's wool. So you're basically doing the sheep a favor. You know, sheep, just like we grow hair and we go to a barber or a stylist to get our hair cut, you know, the same thing is happening with sheep. Their wool grows, and you're doing them a favor by shearing the wool. That wool is then taken, and the lanolin of the wool is washed out of it. And then that lanolin is used in a chemical process to be able to create vitamin D3. In that whole process, the sheep aren't being harmed. You're not eating them. It's not like you're consuming them. All you're doing is just taking a specific ingredient, lanolin, out of the sheep's wool. So it's like, you know, if you've got a pet, you know, what's the difference? And when it comes to your body, it makes a huge difference in your ability to be able to increase your vitamin D levels in your body by proper supplementation. Now, I have this graphic here, and it's important to understand that, you know, vitamin D is really important in terms of getting the proper amount of sunlight. But there's a couple factors that are going on here. First off, if we live like I do in the Midwest, you know, it's a cloudy day today. It was a cloudy day yesterday. Almost all last week was a cloudy week. You know, you have all the limitations with regards to sun exposure. But if you look at studies done in California, people in California where the sun shines all the time, they still have low levels of vitamin D, because one of the other things that happens is people wear a hat to protect them from the sun. They wear sunscreen to protect them from the sun so that they don't get skin cancer. So all these things that we do to protect us from the sun, because we're afraid of getting some type of skin cancer, then limits the ability of the sunlight to penetrate the skin area to create this chemical reaction necessary to produce vitamin D in the bloodstream. And then the other thing that's important to note is that the darker your skin, the less the penetration of the specific rays of the light that is necessary to create this conversion. And I'll show you a study where you can really see how this impacts vitamin D levels. And as you can see from this chart, as your body absorbs vitamin D3 into the bloodstream then takes it to the liver, where it converts it to a secondary form, and then takes that to the kidney, where it converts it into the final form of what your body needs as a vitamin D to be able to be useful to all the different cells that are in your body that have vitamin D receptors. Now, it's also important to understand the levels of what we would call normal vitamin D versus deficient vitamin D, and then there's a range which we call insufficient. Normal vitamin D would be having 30 nanograms per milliliter or higher. If you are less than that, then you're either insufficient in your vitamin D levels or you're deficient in your vitamin D levels. Deficiency would be 20 nanograms per milliliter or less, and then that range between 20 and 30 is the insufficient area. This will become important to understand when I show you some information that came out of the Indonesian study with COVID-19 patients. And then what I also want you to understand is in 2011, there was a major study done here in the US population. And that study found that 42%, 41.6, so we're going to round that up to 42, 42% of adults are vitamin D deficient. They didn't measure insufficiency, they measured deficiency. So if you looked at insufficiency and deficiency, that percentage would be even higher. But 42% of adults were vitamin D deficient. And when they took their information and based it on ethnicity, they found that 69% of Hispanics were vitamin D deficient and 82% of African Americans were vitamin D deficient. And it goes back to, again, this skin color. The darker the skin, the less the rays of the sun can penetrate your skin to activate the process of creating vitamin D in the skin that then gets into the bloodstream to go through the liver and the kidney to create the final conversion of vitamin D that is useful to your body. And when we look at all the information that has come out with regards to COVID-19, especially here in America where we live, there's a greater disproportionate population group in inner cities of having problems with COVID-19, which are Black and Hispanic population groups. Now, so much of that has been based upon, the idea that they are lacking proper foods. They're in what are called grocery deserts where, they don't have access to fresh fruit and all these other things. But it could be a vitamin D deficiency. And we're going to continue to look at that vitamin D deficiency as it applies to the COVID-19 virus, because there is plenty of peer-reviewed clinical research that has come out, especially in the last 2 months, that clearly shows a linkage between vitamin D deficiency and the probability of you being more susceptible to both the COVID-19 virus, greater symptom severity, and a higher death rate if you are deficient in your vitamin D levels. Now, the vitamin D in your immune system is really key. And this is one of the things that has really come to attention in the scientific community of how important vitamin D is to the communication process within your immune system and its ability to activate your immune system defense, especially your T cells and your macrophages that are necessary to protect your body against pathogens. And there is plenty of research that shows that low levels of vitamin D are associated with respiratory diseases like tuberculosis, asthma. If you've got family members that have asthma, it could be as simple as having them go and get a blood test done where they can get their vitamin D levels measured. because if they're deficient in their vitamin D levels, they could most likely improve their asthmatic condition if they brought their vitamin D levels up into the normal range. COPD, viral respiratory infections. What is COVID-19? It's a viral respiratory infection. And so, again, there's plenty of research in the past that shows how important vitamin D is to a bunch of different type of respiratory diseases. And as they found in the COVID-19, it really affects the lung area. Now, there's research that has come out. I've talked about this before in a Saturday presentation, where they now look at the COVID-19 virus as a endothelial dysfunctional disease causing blood clots, and then it really manifests itself in the lung area where there's excessive blood clots caused in the lung area, which then leads, for most people, if that's not controlled, leads to death. Now, I want to show this study. When I saw this study about 6 or 7 months ago, it was an absolute eye-opener to me. Actually did a video that I have up on YouTube, and this is the name of the study. It came out of Indonesia. It's Patterns of COVID-19 Mortality and Vitamin D, an Indonesian study. They looked at 780 cases. Half of those cases had normal vitamin D levels. The other half of those cases were either insufficient or deficient in their vitamin D levels. And as you can see on the screen, on the right-hand column where I have highlighted in yellow death rate, you can see that for those individuals that had normal vitamin D levels, the death rate was 4%. That means that 4 people out of 100 died from the COVID-19 virus. For those individuals that were insufficient, the death rate was 88%. 88 people out of 100 died. And if you were deficient in your vitamin D levels, it was a death warrant. 99 people out of 100, 99% death rate. That's like night and day. That's like your lights on or off. It's huge. And that became an eye-opener, and people began to investigate this whole relationship between vitamin D and the COVID-19 pandemic, symptom severity, outcomes, and everything else. And there became a whole bunch of other information that came out. And I've got some of these studies here. Vitamin D insufficiency is prevalent in severe COVID-19. Possible role of vitamin D in suppressing cytokine storm associated with mortality in COVID-19 patients. Vitamin D, a rapid review of evidence for treatment or prevention in COVID-19. Evidence that vitamin D supplementation could reduce risk of influenza and COVID-19 infections and death. And then the role of vitamin D in preventing the coronavirus disease, 2019 infection and mortality, and COVID-19 deaths are being linked to vitamin D deficiencies. Here's what that means. Now, the PDF that I'm showing you, I will make available to you on the Tuesday newsletter that goes out. Plus, I'll place this into our Synergy family, and I'll show you where it's going to be placed in a couple minutes when I go to our Synergy family website. But these articles, I give you the direct links to the articles, so all you have to do is click on them. You can read them for more information. But this one here is the one that I want to open up. And this is something that just recently came out. So this came out as of December 21st of last year. So this article and this action is about 3 weeks old, maybe even less than that, 2 weeks old. And as you can see by the title, experts send vitamin D and COVID-19 open letter to world's governments. In an open letter being sent to world governments today, 21st December, 120 health, science, and medical experts from the UK, US, and Europe say there is clear scientific evidence that vitamin D reduces COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations, and death. In the letter signed by 120 on Friday the 18th, but rapidly increasing, scientists are calling for immediate widespread increased vitamin D intake to 4,000 international units per day, or at least 2,000 for healthy adults. This comes just days after the UK government health bodies SCAN and NICE denied there is enough evidence to support increasing vitamin D intake for COVID-19 specifically. The scientists involved in the open letter say that global patterns and risk factors for COVID-19 pandemic and vitamin D deficiency match precisely due to the impact on immune function. They say that research shows that low vitamin D levels markedly increase the likelihood of COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations, and deaths. The group of scientists are calling for immediate, widespread increased vitamin D intakes, with most signatures declaring that they personally take at least 4,000 international units per day. Many take more. And I won't go and read the rest of this article, but you'll have the link to it. Plus, within this link, if you click on these other links, it'll take you to other studies that will help, again, continue to pull this information and give you a very clear picture that vitamin D deficiency is significant in terms of people getting COVID-19. In fact, there's a study that is less than 2 months old that shows that they compared normal vitamin D levels with deficient vitamin D. They didn't look at insufficient vitamin D levels, but they looked at normal vitamin D levels compared to people who were deficient in their vitamin D levels. And what they found is people who were deficient in vitamin D were 76% more likely to get the COVID-19 virus, with greater symptom severity and greater death rate outcomes than people who had normal vitamin D levels. And when they adjusted for age, what they found is age only made a 6% difference. So even if you're an older adult, normal vitamin D levels would reduce your risk by 71% and have less symptom severity and better outcomes than if you were deficient in your vitamin D levels. So it does not mean that you won't get COVID-19, but it does mean, from all the research that the scientists have done in this area, they firmly believe that normal vitamin D levels help protect you from the COVID-19 virus. And if you get the COVID-19 virus, they help to reduce symptom severity and give you a better outcome, like you saw in the Indonesian study. So again, you'll have access to this information with regards to the document that I've got here that I'm showing you. So let's continue back on down here. Now, also, vitamin D is extremely important to your cardiovascular health. And it's important in 2 ways. Well, let me put that, it's important in 3 ways. I'm showing you 2 ways here. First off, vitamin D improves endothelial function. The endothelium is what lines our vascular system. You know, we're all familiar with that. We're all familiar with nitric oxide. And then it also reduces arterial stiffness. Now, the eNOS enzyme, that's the enzyme that is in the endothelium that is used to convert L-arginine into nitric oxide. So you can have L-arginine, but that's not going to convert to nitric oxide unless you have the eNOS enzyme. However, for that enzyme to function properly, it's what's called a calcium-dependent reaction, meaning that calcium must be present for the reaction to properly occur. If calcium's not present, you can have a bunch of L-arginine, but you'll get very little production of nitric oxide because the enzyme can't function properly. If calcium is present like it's supposed to be, then that eNOS enzyme, if L-arginine is present, can do an excellent job of converting that L-arginine into nitric oxide. And the balance that Synergy puts in their product between the vitamin D3 and the vitamin K2, those 2 ingredients help to regulate calcium levels in your bloodstream. So vitamin D3 is extremely important in helping with cardiovascular health, especially in this whole aspect of the endothelial function and its ability to properly produce nitric oxide. And as I've shared a couple weeks ago, when you look at the COVID-19 virus, what does it do? It attacks and causes inflammation to the lining of the vascular system, your endothelium, causing it to become dysfunctional. If it becomes dysfunctional, then a couple things happen. One, as we've talked about, it increases clotting, but the second thing that it does is it most likely doesn't do a good job producing nitric oxide. Now, there's not been any studies that I know of done yet in looking at nitric oxide therapy with regards to the COVID-19 virus. But if you understand what nitric oxide does, nitric oxide helps to keep blood platelet cells from sticking together. What's the problem in COVID-19? Excessive production of blood clots. And then what is one of the other factors of nitric oxide? It helps to repair damage done to the endothelium. What is the COVID-19 virus doing? Causing inflammation and damage to the endothelium. So vitamin D, having normal vitamin D levels in the bloodstream, become extremely important in helping to, one, prevent the COVID-19 virus from taking hold. And if it does, it helps then to it helps the endothelium then to, again, improve its ability to function normally. So the COVID-19 virus, if it's taken hold in your body, can't do the level of damage that it could do if your vitamin D levels were deficient. I'm not going to get into this information here. Again, I'm going to provide you with this PDF so that if you want to go into a deeper dive of how this all works, here's some additional information that came out of Ohio University that shows, again, how vitamin D helps to increase nitric oxide and how it decreases this thing called, I'm not sure if I'm going to say this right, peroxynitrate, which is bad to your system. And again, the vitamin D was significant in terms of a tenfold increase in nitric oxide and a tenfold decrease in this detrimental molecule that's created when things aren't working properly and vitamin D levels aren't proper. So you'll have access to this information so that if you want to go into a deeper dive for it, you can certainly do that. Plus, I give you a link right up here to the study where this came from. Now, I shared with you a new article. Again, going back up here, what did the people in this article, the experts, say? They're recommending 4,000 international units on a daily basis. And if you're a healthy adult, at least 2,000 international units on a daily basis of vitamin D intake. And I'd have to go back and look and see if they're recommending vitamin D3 or vitamin D2, but it would make sense for them to recommend vitamin D3 because it's the one that gets more easily absorbed into your system. If you look at the Cleveland Clinic versus our government says that the daily recommended allowance for vitamin D for our age category, 79 to 70 years of age, is 600, and if you're over 70 years of age, 800 international units on a daily basis. What is the Cleveland Clinic? One of the most respected independent health organizations in the United States, who've built a reputation for integrity and built a reputation of success in helping people deal with cardiovascular health issues. They recommend 4,000 international units, and they've been recommending 4,000 international units long before this new letter came out with regards to these experts recommending this. So that should be your target. If you're healthy, then your target is at least 2,000 international units on a daily basis. If you're vitamin D deficient, then your target is at least 4,000 international units on a daily basis. And again, I give you a link to the actual page on the Cleveland Clinic's website where this came from. Now, in Synergy Worldwide, we have 3 key products that help us get vitamin D into our system. The first one that most likely everyone on this call uses is we all believe in the power of nitric oxide therapy. We all believe that the best product in the marketplace for creating nitric oxide is ProArts-9 Plus because of the unique design of those ingredients are all designed to enhance the enzymatic activity of the endothelium to produce higher levels of nitric oxide in a shorter period of time, plus ProArts-9 Plus is clinically proven to prevent vascular inflammation. Vascular inflammation is the underlying cause of almost all cardiovascular health issues. And one of the ingredients in the ProArts-9 Plus is 40 micrograms of vitamin D3. A couple years ago, Synergy used to list the vitamin D3 as international units. When the government changed the nutrition labeling laws, they required here in the United States to convert that from international units to micrograms, MCGs. I don't know why, can't tell you the reasoning for it. It just creates confusion. But the conversion I give you up here, 1 IU is the biological equivalent of 0.025 micrograms. And so if you do the math, then 40 micrograms is equal to 1,600 international units of vitamin D3. So if you're a healthy adult, 1 packet of ProArts-9 Plus on a daily basis is giving you close to that 2,000 international units. And if you're doing 2 servings on a daily basis, then you can see that you're getting 3,200, which is bringing you closer to the Cleveland Clinic's recommendation. Synergy has a fantastic vitamin D3 chewable. And I say fantastic because that's exactly what it is. It's chewable, which means that you begin the process of absorbing the vitamin D3 right in your mouth. And it's so cost effective. It's only $18 a bottle. A serving size is 2 chewable tablets. There's 75 servings per bottle. So if you're doing, 2 chewable on a daily basis, it's costing you basically $0.25 a day. And if you're just doing 1 chewable tablet on a daily basis, that's 12 cents. It is the most economical way for you to help maintain or increase vitamin D levels in your bloodstream. Each tablet is 62.5 micrograms. That is the equivalent of 2,500 international units of vitamin D3. So if you go back to, again, the open letter sent by all these scientists and doctors to all the governments worldwide about the importance of increasing vitamin D levels in the bloodstream to help offset the COVID-19 pandemic, they're recommending 4,000 international units. And if you're a healthy adult, then at least 2,000. So you can see as a healthy adult, just 1 12-cent tablet on a daily basis gives you 2,500 international units of vitamin D3. And if you were vitamin D deficient, then for 25 cents a day, you could take 1 vitamin D chewable in the morning with breakfast and 1 vitamin D chewable at dinner time and get 5,000 international units of vitamin D3 into your system. One of the most cost-effective ways that you can help people improve their cardiovascular health and their immune health is through the chewable vitamin D3 from Synergy Worldwide. And then we have another product that Synergy has brought into the marketplace called Immune Booster. It's been out now for about 3 months. It's just an excellent product. I'm going to take you to our Synergy family website and show you where you can find additional information about this. Cost is $49 a box, 30 sticks per box. They recommend that you take 1 per day. Each serving or stick has 25 micrograms of vitamin D3. That's the equivalent of 1,000 international units of vitamin D3. So you would want to do the immune booster with either the chewable vitamin D3 or with ProArch 9 Plus. Now, if you decide that you want to try and make sure that you're getting 4,000 international units using the Cleveland Clinic guidelines, then one packet of ProArch 9 Plus with one chewable vitamin D3 would give you 4,100 international units. Or if you're going to do a packet of ProArch 9 Plus with a packet of immune boosters so you can get 2 times the boost, just add one chewable tablet of vitamin D3, and now you're getting 5,100 international units of vitamin D3. Now, if you look at that cost, you know, a simple cost of that range from just a quarter a day to, let's see, ProArch 9 Plus immune booster, you're most likely looking at somewhere around $4 a day if you're doing all 3 of those versus food. I could eat 3.5 ounces of fresh wild salmon, and my international unit intake of vitamin D is going to range from 400 to 1,000. If I use salmon that's been farmed, it's only 100 to 125. If I use fortified milk, 8 ounces a cup, 100. You can see that, first off, if I'm going to try and get my vitamin D intake through food, it's going to cost me a whole lot more, and I'm going to have to eat a whole lot more food, which brings in a whole lot more calories. So from a cost-effective standpoint, there is nothing more effective in helping people increase their vitamin D levels than using supplementation. And we have 3 outstanding products in Synergy Worldwide that people can use based upon what they want to do and what their price range is. If you've got a person who's strapped for cash, just do the best thing you can for them and get them on the chewable vitamin D3. That is the most cost-effective way for a person to increase their vitamin D levels. If they're concerned about their immune system, then get them on the immune booster and recommend that they also get a bottle of the vitamin D3. If they want to improve their cardiovascular health and their immune system, ProArch 9 Plus and the immune booster together, that's a fantastic combination that's going to help them improve their cardiovascular and immune health and have twice the effect if they combine those 2 products together. So we have products and programs that can help people make huge increases in their ability to raise the level of vitamin D in their bloodstream. Now, I want to go to our Synergy family. And again, if you go to our homepage, this is our website platform for our organization. We make it available to everyone in Synergy Worldwide. And if you click on the button below Immune Health, it takes you to a page dedicated to immune health, especially our new product called Immune Booster. And as you go down through here, there's a couple things I want to point out. One, this video we did to help people understand the power of this new product. This video is broken up into 2 sections. The first 2.5 minutes talks about the benefits of Immune Booster, and those benefits have been approved by Synergy Worldwide. The language that is used in the first 2.5 minutes is all language that's been created by Synergy Worldwide. So we make sure that we don't make any statements that have not been already okayed by Synergy, because it's statements that are coming from their literature. Then the video transfers or transforms into an informative video about each ingredient that's in Immune Booster and how it applies to the immune system. And that's about 17 minutes in length. Again, when you use it from a marketing standpoint, you just need to understand your audience. If all they want to know are the benefits, tell them, hey, I got a great video for you on a new product from Synergy. I think it's fantastic. I've got a lot of customers who truly believe it's helping them. I'm going to send you the video. It's about 19 minutes long, but I only want you to watch the first 2.5 minutes. That's going to tell you the benefits of this product. If you're interested, let's talk. If you want to know more about the science of it so that you can understand why it's as good as it is, then watch the remaining 17 minutes, because it'll go through every ingredient in that product and give you scientific documentation on how that ingredient benefits your immune system. And then for you personally, we have a video called the Q&A about ProArginine Plus, so that you can, about ProArginine Plus Immune Booster, so that you can understand the common questions that have been asked about this product and how, give you the information so that you know how to properly answer them. So I will, again, this page is available to you. And then as we scroll down here, here's the video that I originally created. Once I saw the information out of Indonesia, where I showed you that people who had normal vitamin D levels had a 4% death rate versus people who are insufficient, 88%, deficient, 99%. That was an eye opener. I created this video. And again, I did it on the Our Synergy Family platform, so it's not branded to me. It's my voice, but I don't brand it back to me. Again, it really is a great video to help you understand the importance of vitamin D. And if you're talking to people, you can send this video to them to help them understand. You need to find out what your vitamin D levels are. If you go for a blood test, they will not do it in a normal blood test. You must ask for your vitamin D levels to be checked. Otherwise, it just isn't done. And I don't know if that will ever change. But again, it's really important that every person know what your vitamin D levels are, so you can know how to make your adjustments in your vitamin D intake. And then today's presentation, what I'll do is I will put that information down here so that you have today's information, this video, plus I'll also have a link to the PDF that I'm using today. So, I've done one on the immune booster plus a PDF that goes with it. Today, you'll get our presentation on the importance of vitamin D3 and a link to the PDF of the information that I've showed you over here. So with that said, do I have any questions from anyone that's on today's call? You'll have to unmute yourself. I don't normally unmute everyone because there'll be too much background noise. But if you have questions, please unmute yourself and we'll take the remaining time with any questions or comments that you have.
Hey, Dan, it's Judy.
Hello, Judy.
Hey, so I just love today how you made the complexities of the vitamins so simple and understandable for us, the laymen, so that we can share this information with our clients. This is such groundbreaking, important information with the state of the health in this country right now. It's something that we absolutely need to share with our current customers and our potential customers. So thank you so much for doing this. It simplifies the entire process.
Great. Thank you, Judy. Appreciate that. Anyone else with any comments or questions before we say goodbye? Yes, Donald.
Wow, what a presentation.
Thank you.
And you have been doing a wonderful job on this vitamin D product. And as you know, at 70 plus, I've been looking after my health using vitamin D. I don't know if it's the right time to mention this, but I've been reading some books, and what came up for me is magnesium. So again, I don't know if it's the right time to mention this, but the suggestion is by two doctors, Dr. Carolyn Dean and Dr. Thomas Levy. They talk about the combination of using magnesium with vitamin D. And I'm sure that you will do some research and you will add to this or talk about this product. And Synergy has two products, the Body Prime and the Metabolic LDL that has the magnesium. I was on Synergy Worldwide this week with staff, trying to find out which products we have magnesium in, and they brought up this product. So I don't want to get too deep into the magnesium, but I'm sure that I would like you to also look at the magnesium aspect of the combination vitamin D and magnesium. Thank you. Excellent video.
Thank you, Donald. Thank you for the suggestion.
Sure.
I think there was one other person that was asking or going to make a comment.
Yeah, Dan, that was me, Bob. I was just going to mention that I shared this information earlier on with my family, of course, and my son James contracted COVID-19. His symptoms were very mild. It took a while before he got his taste and smell back. But my daughter-in-law recognized the value of D3 per the information that I had sent out, and got her whole family, my son James and the kids, all eating vitamin D3 every day, as did my daughter Jessica. The result of that and the lack of severity in his symptoms, she was so impressed with that she sent out further information to her other family members on Facebook, etc. Get vitamin D3, it'll make a difference. And it was interesting how just my one little note to my family members ended up impacting so many other people outside of my immediate family. It's such a simple thing. Vitamin D3, it's not expensive, it's easy to get, it's easy to take, and has significant difference. And so anyway, just for what it's worth, it sure is easy to share D3.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate what you're saying. And if you go, when you get this PDF, and I didn't put it into here, I'm just going to click on it again. And once you get onto this PDF, or once you get onto this article, there is lower risk of hospitalization, ICU, or death. If you click onto that live link, it takes you to a study. Vitamin D supplementation associated to better survival and hospitalization, hospitalized frail elderly COVID-19 patients. This study, again, is an eye-opener in terms of, again, it doesn't protect everyone from death, but even for people who had contracted the COVID-19 virus, by putting them into a vitamin D supplementation program, help to improve outcome. And this is for elderly adults, the people who are most at risk for COVID-19 based upon what we've seen so far. So this whole aspect of how important vitamin D is to people's health, we have a responsibility to share this information with as many people as possible. All we can do is share the information. They have to make the decision what they want to do with the information. But it's our responsibility to share this information about vitamin D and how important it is to their immune system, to their health. And then the nice thing about it is we've got 3 excellent opportunities to help them with just fantastic supplements from Synergy Worldwide that will help them address their vitamin D levels. So thanks for sharing that. Anyone else before we say goodbye?
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Yes.
Dan, it's Christy.
Hey, Christy.
I just want to quickly say that I had ran out of vitamin D3 And I hugged a person who the next day came down with COVID. I, 5 days later, woke up with this horrible, raging headache. And I was pretty sure I had it. And sure enough, I started getting some cold symptoms. So I was out of D3. So I doubled my proarginine. And I went through, I'm going to say maybe 24 hours of feeling miserable. And by the next day, the headache was gone. And I will admit that I added a little ivermectin to it because I couldn't get the headache to subside at all. So I just took one click of an ivermectin tube that I had in the house. And literally the longest the symptoms were 48 hours, but I want to say that it was 24 hours. And sure enough, I had gotten COVID, and between the proarginine and the ivermectin, I have asthma. I have had multiple bouts of pneumonia. I have compromised lungs, and I know it. We just know that. And so my doctor was like, you can't get COVID. Well, I did. And thanks to our products and a little shot of ivermectin, horsewormer, it wasn't even a bad cold. It was a horrible headache. And that was it.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else before we say goodbye?
It's Don again.
Yes.
We can't emphasize enough the importance of knowing what our vitamin D status is. We've got to get, because we can't wait, until you come down with it just to get it. You've got to know what your vitamin D levels are.
I second that.
One of the things that we absolutely do is impress upon people the importance of getting that test. Since, as you said, it's not given in your blood test normally. You've got to ask the person to draw the blood and specifically get a vial for vitamin D. Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Anyone else before we say goodbye?
Hey, Dan. Good morning. This is David.
Hello, David.
Hey, Dan, just a couple things. One is obviously in our household, we take vitamin D3 from Synergy Worldwide every single day. I just pop it in. It's chewable. It's easy to take. And I just remember, I'm talking to you from before when I asked you what frequency. I take it pretty much with every meal. I just pop it in. If I know I'm going to eat, so I'll just pop it in and then have a meal. But my question to you is, I know that the ingredients are important to a lot of my clients in the vitamin D3 product. And I was wondering if you could either now or maybe in a future meeting, go over the ingredients of vitamin D3 so that if my clients ask me, well, what is this for? I could have it handy. I know I could probably look it up myself, but I thought it might be valuable to everyone listening.
Yeah. So the only ingredient in it is vitamin D3.
Well, I was looking at the supplemental facts that Synergy Worldwide publishes. It has things like sorbitol, mannitol, xylitol,
Right. Those
uric
are
acid.
those are all things for as a stabilizer, because it is a chewable tablet. Those are all things like sorbitol. That's like, gives it that a sweet flavor, because when you chew it, it's got a good flavor to it.
Right.
So all those other things are all there as binders to hold the tablet together, to give it some flavor to it. So yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Anything else, David?
No, for now. Just enjoyed the presentation. Thanks for the refresher. It's always great.
You're welcome. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for today's presentation. We'll be back next Saturday, and have a wonderful Saturday. Good night or goodbye, everyone.